Hi, I'm Leslie Lemons, and I teach second grade at Austin Elementary, and you're about to watch 2 guided reading lessons. There will be some question and answers after this video, so please stay tuned, and maybe some questions that you have will be answered. We're going to read this book today. Let's look at this book right here. First, let's read the title. What is the title of this book? Not looked. That's close.
Locked in.
Locked in. Why is this not look?
Because it doesn't have two O's.
It doesn't have 2 O's. So if it was going to be looked in, I would need 2 O's there. But so I don't have 2 O's. I have a CK. Then I know it is locked in.
One time.
All right, well, let's look at this picture right here. Where do you think we're getting the locked in at? What can you predict, or just by looking at the picture, what can y'all infer that we're doing here?
I can predict that Dad's probably going to lose the key and probably go in there.
Okay, maybe lose the key. Okay, what else can you think?
Maybe the birds, and then he will get locked inside.
Okay, maybe so. But so we know that somebody's going to get locked in, either the birds or somebody. All right, let's look at our book. All right.
I know who it is. We've already read this book with Miss Hall. Not Miss Hall. Who's your assistant teacher?
Mrs. Kaysen.
I think her, but I don't know. She had black hair.
Okay, well, we're going to read it again today, okay? All right. Okay, good. All right, well, let's look and see right here. What is another word for these? They're birds, but what's another word? What's some
Parakeets.
Parakeets? What's another word for another kind of bird? You think of another word besides parakeets?
Yep.
What's another kind of bird? You think of any other kind of birds? Y'all don't know of any other kind of birds? Austin, you know some other kind of... Okay, eagles are another kind of bird. What's another kind of bird? Y'all can't think of any birds? Have you ever heard of a parrot?
Yeah.
Okay, have you ever heard of a buzzard? No buzzards? Okay, how about we've heard of eagles and buzzards and those. Well, this is a parakeet, and we're going to see that really large word when we're reading right here. Parakeet. Okay? Parakeet. So every time we get to that word, we're going to say what?
Parakeet.
Parakeet. What if it has an S on it? What are we going to say?
Parakeets.
Parakeets. And what does parakeets mean?
There's more. There's more than one.
More than one. So we know that these people have more than one parakeet because it has an S on there. All right? So we're going to be looking at their parakeets in there. All right, now look at this big long word right here. What do you think this is, Eileen?
I know a lot about
What do you think this word is? It's 2 words put together. What do you think this is? Let's look at just the first part of it. What's the first word? Okay, and what's the second word?
Yard.
Okay, backyard. Backyard, it's a compound word put together. Okay, so backyard. So that's where they're at, is in the backyard. All right? Now, our characters in this story, Austin, are who? What's the little boy? Adam, his mom, and dad. All right, so y'all got those? All right, let's see. All right, so here's Adam and Dad. And look, he's got all this out. So what do y'all think he's doing there?
He's building the
Building something?
or locking it.
Or locking it? What, could he just be fixing it? Maybe if it's already been built, maybe they had to fix it? Could he be fixing it?
Maybe he's fixing it.
What do you think he's fixing? What could he be fixing?
The door.
The door, because we're looking at that door. All right. Okay, so here we are. Now look, here we have another compound word. What do we have this compound? What's this compound word right here?
Our teacher just taught us how to
Bird is right. What's this word? What do you got? Help him out here.
Bird cage.
Bird cage. You know, when we get to that, it sounds like it has a J sound, but it really doesn't. I mean, it really does, but it has a G there, so we need to make sure that we say bird cage. All right? All right, now look in here. Where's Dad?
Locked in the cage.
He's locked inside. Inside, okay? What's this word? It's another compound.
Outside.
It's the opposite of inside. So we've seen a lot of compound words in this book, haven't we? All right. Where do you think he's coming from?
From school.
From school. What tells us in the picture he's coming from school?
There's the bus.
Okay, we see a bus, and what else?
His backpack.
He got a backpack on. And so he's coming home from school, and he comes into the what?
House.
House. He comes into the house. Okay? And then he goes outside, and where's Dad?
Locked in the bird.
Locked in the bird cage. And then on the very last page, let's look at this. What is Adam doing?
Laughing at his dad.
Laughing at his dad, but what happens when somebody's laughing and they sit down? What do you think about that? Did he hurt his feelings? No. Have you ever laughed really, really hard where like you have to sit down because you're laughing so hard? Because that means something's pretty funny, doesn't it? So think this is pretty funny, isn't it? Okay. All right, well, let's get started on reading Locked In. And so I want you to get started reading on Locked In, all right?
Adam and his mom and dad locked the bird.
No.
Loved the parakeet.
Okay, let's read this sentence again. Keep going. No, you keep going.
His mom and dad loved the parakeet.
Okay, do you see?
Parakeet.
Okay, we didn't see the in there, did we? No. So we got to watch that. So we don't want to add that word in there. So we want to say loved parakeets. Keep going.
They had blue ones and yellow. This is very good.
Yellow ones.
Ones, green ones, and white ones.
What was our character's name?
Parakeet
Very good.
were in a big cage in the backyard. One day, Dad, but he locked in
Okay, so why did Dad go in there? To feed? To feed the parakeets? Where does it say that? Show Miss Lemons where it says that.
said to Adam, now
Food for the parakeets. Very good. So it says he's went in there to feed the parakeets. All right, keep reading.
the parakeets away.
Very good.
The next day, Dad went out to the bird cage. He had some food for the parakeet.
Okay, let's go back and see this one. Look at your sounds.
With the kitties.
Okay, let's look at our sounds because you're saying shut, but look at your sounds. You almost got it. Say it again. Stuck. Good, because see, there's no SH in there, is there? Very good. What did he do when he first got home, Eileen? What did Adam do when he first got
The
home?
door shut. Now Dad was locked inside.
Look back on that page you just read and tell me what he did when he first got home.
the outside.
He called for his dad, didn't he?
Said,
What did he say?
Adam.
He's home. Did his dad answer?
Adam is at
No. Did the book tell us that Dad didn't answer?
out. I'm
No.
stuck
How do we
in
know he
here.
wasn't home? What does the book say for we know that Dad wasn't there?
Adam came home on the school
Okay,
bus
but so far the book hasn't told us that he was locked, but how do we know Dad's not home?
inside. Dad, I'm home. He called.
Okay, because he
But
did, the story
Dad
told us because he
was
didn't answer
not
back, did
in
he?
the
Okay, keep reading.
Adam ran outside to look for him. Dad! He shouted, where are you?
Find me the page that talks about where Adam was calling for his dad.
He cried, I'm locked in the bird cage.
Okay, keep going.
Adam ran over to the
Okay, this is
cage.
where he was calling for his dad.
You do
Why was he
look
calling for his dad on this page?
Dad, said Adam. He started to laugh. And so did Dad. Stop laughing and let me
Why did Adam call for his dad when he on this page?
You are all right, Dad, said Adam. It is a very good look.
Why was he calling? Read back on your words and see why was he.
On the school bus and ran inside Dad. I know he called, but Dad was not in the house
All right, so why was he calling for his dad?
because he wasn't in the house.
He wasn't in the house. And what was Adam trying to tell him? Austin, look over here at this page. What was his dad trying to tell him?
How many words do we have?
What was Adam trying to tell him? What was his dad trying to tell him on page 11? Austin, what was Adam trying to tell his dad on page 11?
He was trying to tell Dad, wait, where's... I forgot too.
Okay, well, let's look back. Look and see. Eileen, I think you have it. Where is Dad? Look back right here. Dad, I'm home. So what's Adam trying to tell his dad? That he's home. He's opened the door and he's trying to tell his dad that he's home from school, isn't he? All right. So that's what he was trying to tell him. All right, look on the very, very last page. Page 16. Let's read this page together and then I want to ask you all a question about it, okay? Ready? You are...
Right, Dad, said Adam. It was a very good look.
All right. What does he mean by that when he said that you were right, Adam? It was a very good lock.
And he was meaning like it's really good that thing can actually hold that much weight. Like it's really sturdy enough, like to
Right.
stay put.
Because what were they worried about with the parakeets?
That somebody would steal them.
That they worried that they were going to get away, and so they were thinking that somebody needed to have them. They were worried about somebody was going to get them, so they were going to build the lock on there. But who ended up getting them? Who ended up getting locked in there?
Dad.
His dad did. So now they know that it's very secure, that nobody can get in there, because even Dad couldn't get out, could he? All right, I want you to find me the compound word bird cage in your story. I want you to find me the compound word inside. And I want you to find me the compound word backyard. Okay? Okay? German. Since this table and that table's not realizing that, will you take them the concept wheel? Because the buzzer has gone off. Thank you. Okay, inside, bird cage, and backyard. Very good. What's one small word in your compound word? In. And what's the other small word in there?
Side.
Side. And what's one word in your compound word? And what's the other one? Cage. What's one small word in your compound word?
Yard.
Yard. And what's the other one?
Back.
Back. And so what is a compound word?
Oh, it's two words like to mash together.
Two words that are mashed together or put together that make what? Make one word. Very good, very good. All right, I want y'all to take this book home tonight, and I want y'all to read it again. And I want you to read it to your mom. But when the first thing you're going to do is you're going to tell your mom about who are the characters. Who's the characters in here? Who's the characters? No, it doesn't say the kid. What's his name? What does it say in the Adam? Because if it just said the kid, then that's what we would have read, but we read Adam. Who else is a character in there?
Mom.
Dad.
Mom.
And Mom. Did we ever read very much about Mom? No, not much. It only said one thing about Mom. All right, and where was the setting? Where was the setting of this story?
At the backyard.
At the backyard. And where could we narrow that down? From backyard, we could make it smaller and say the setting was in the backyard where?
The bird cage.
At the bird cage. Very good. All right. And what's the problem in our story? What are you going to tell your mom the problem is tonight?
Dad got locked.
Dad got locked in the bird cage. Eileen, how did he get locked in the bird cage?
Because he was feeding the birds and he left the keys outside.
Okay, but he was feeding the birds, he left the key in the door, but then something happened. What happened, Austin?
The wind blew the door shut.
The wind blew the door shut. And then, how was that problem solved?
He was locked inside.
Okay, but how was it solved? He's locked in there, that's our problem.
Adam got the key and locked him out and laughed at him.
Adam did laugh at him and he got the key out. So before you read tonight, I want you to tell your mom, you know, all about the story and then reread it to her, okay? All right, and then what kind of words are you going to show Mom tonight?
Backyard.
Backyard.
Inside.
Inside. And what kind of words are those?
Compound words.
Compound words. All right, very good, guys. Take this back to your seat. All right, guys, today we're going to read this book. Let's see if we can read the title of this book. Let's see, what does it say?
The
what?
surprise.
Surprise. That's a big, long word. That's right. We got the N. That's a long I. Invitation.
Invitation.
The surprise invitation. Let's see if we can infer anything. What do you think this book is going to be about? Just by looking.
This guy in the wheelchair who could still play basketball.
Okay, so we see the wheelchair there. So we're inferring that we think that it's going to be something with him playing basketball in a wheelchair. But what do you think the surprise invitation has to do with it?
Go to a basketball game. His probably cousin sent him an invitation to a basketball game, and I think that's his cousin's.
Okay, so maybe we've got some cousins, or you're thinking relatives here. But we have noticed that we think it is something with basketball, and then somebody in a wheelchair is doing the playing. Are these guys playing? No, they're not playing. They're not playing. So they are not. All right. They are doing. So here, let's look here. Look what he has in his hands.
Invitation.
The invitation. So who's getting the invitation there?
Him.
The guy in the wheelchair. All right. So let's look at this. The surprise invitation. Okay, let's look at our characters. Here we have our characters are Nicola. Look at that word. It looks like what we've seen before, Nicole, but it has an A at the end, so it's Nicola. All right, so we have Nicola.
Like Coca-Cola.
Like Coca-Cola, that's exactly right, like Coca-Cola, but it's Nicola. So when you get to that word, you're going to say what?
Nicola.
Nicola, not Nicole. All right, and what's the boy's name?
John.
John. And then we have a Mom. All right, and so looks like John's our little guy in the wheelchair here. And so he does get an invitation, but we're going to read pages 2 through 5, and we're going to see if we can figure out what this invitation is about, okay? All right, so let's read pages 2 through
John
5.
enjoyed watching basketball on television. But one day he said, I wish I could play basketball like that. Instead, just watching John's sister, Nicole, wanted to help him. Maybe there's something we can do, she thought. Then she had an idea, and she went to talk to help. Yes, Mom, I like that idea. That's right, I left her, but we'll have to keep it a secret. Next week, something arrived in the mail. It was addressed
Right?
to John. It's an invitation, he said. And
Okay, stop right there for a second. So what are they going to keep a secret?
They're in the invitation.
Because who sent the invitation? I mean, who sent off for the invitation?
Mom and his sister.
His sister did. All right, keep going.
Next week,
John, it's an invitation, he said.
next
and it's
week,
from basketball club.
something arrived in the mail.
They
It
invited
was
us to a
invitation
game
Address.
Saturday.
addressed to John. It's an
Said Nicole,
invitation.
grin
He
at each
said,
other.
and in front
On Sunday
A
at
basketball
6
group.
o'clock, a car
They
pulled up outside the house.
invent
It's Tim. To go, John.
Okay, it's got a long
Time to
eye.
go, John. Go, John, called Nicole. When the driver
Invited.
of the
invited
car
us
saw
to a
them
game
coming,
on Saturday.
he opened the
night.
window and called, Hi, John. I'm Ricky.
Mm-hmm.
Mom and
Your mom
Nicole
can help you into the car, and your chair can go in the back.
What?
In the
Mm-hmm, that's
car,
right. What's this word?
Another
Grand
wheelchair, which was folded and
each
Okay, why don't they grin at
to
each
the
other?
front seat. I wonder who that
they tricked
belongs
They
to.
tricked him. They sort of got a secret, don't they? All right, keep going.
Is everyone ready? Said Ricky. We can't be late because I'm playing tonight.
Okay, stop right there.
outside the house. It's
Okay, so who picked him up?
Nicole.
Ricky.
When the
Okay, and
driver
what can you look at this picture
He's
and
a
if,
basketball player.
okay, but what else can you infer from this picture? Look at that whole picture. Look closely at it and see what else can you infer about Ricky.
Oh yeah, he broke his leg a bit, and so he can still play basketball in a wheelchair.
Okay, so you think by looking at this picture, we see that he's going to be in a wheelchair too. Does John know that? No. I think you think he may be surprised?
Yes.
Yes, he might be surprised in just a little bit.
wheelchair was filled up and buckles into the front seat. I wonder who does that belong to? He thought. Is everyone ready? Said Ricky. We can't be late because I'm playing tonight.
Very good. Okay, so Ricky's playing. So what do you think John is thinking? Do you think he's going to play or do you think he's going to just go watch?
Go
Gonna
watch.
play.
Do you think he's going to just go watch? You think that's what he's thinking? You think Ricky thinks he's going to get to play or he's just going to get to watch?
Yeah. He said he said something play basketball.
Okay, Ricky does play basketball. All right, let's look at the next 2 pages, and let's see, because I think that John is fixing to be really surprised here. When do you think he's going to be surprised? Look at this picture. When do you think he's going to be surprised?
Because that he is a famous basketball player. He's a basketball
You seen
player.
him on TV.
Okay, maybe he's seen him on TV, but look at your picture and keep trying to decide, why do you think he's going to be surprised? Before we read the words, why could he be surprised?
Because they both in a wheelchair.
I think so. I think they're fixing to be really both surprised because they're both in a wheelchair. And he's fixing to think how we're fixing to get to play. Okay, what were you going to
They
say?
got the same one, but it's different colors.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's look right here and read page 6 and see if we were right on our prediction why they were surprised.
When they arrived at the studio,
No, not studio.
Stadium. Ricky opened the driver door.
He reached for his wheelchair and lifted it out of the car. I'd better have my wheels. He laughed. John watched in surprise. As Ricky set up the wheelchair and pushed himself into a wheelchair, but you can drive too, whispered John. Oh yes, laughed Ricky. This is a special car.
Oh yes, laughed Ricky. This is a special car.
All right, so let's think about that for a minute. Because, you know, I think back over here, look back over here, because, you know, right here in these words, right here, where it says, John, I wish I could play basketball instead of just watching. Do you think that John was sort of thinking he couldn't do anything because he was in a wheelchair?
Yes.
You think so? Look right here, Tyler. Because, see, he's sort of watching, but he says, I wish I could play basketball someday, instead of just watching. So he thought he was just always having to watch.
If you're in a wheelchair, can you get out of the wheelchair?
Sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. Some people can eventually learn to walk, but then there's some people that never can learn to walk again. So I think that this man's really, really helping him. Do you think he is?
I think he's going to play, maybe.
Yeah, I think he's going to play, but he's also showed him that just because you're in a wheelchair, can you do other things?
Yes.
Yes, he can. Maybe you could play soccer, I don't know. All right, let's read page 8, and then after page 8, I'm going to have y'all read the rest and have the ending for tonight, for your reading for tonight. But let's read page 8 and see what happens when they get to the stadium.
Look, his family is resting with us.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky
Through
took them through the crowds inside the stadium
to
some
some seats in the front. Now I must
go and change, he said. John looked around the stadium. In the crowd there were people with three faces painted red and white. Some people were waving flags and team colors.
All right, very good. So they're in a real big stadium, aren't they?
The people who made books, they can draw good.
Yeah, they can draw good. All right, so I want y'all to finish reading tonight, and I want y'all to look and see.
I think they got invited too.
You think they did? Oh, they might have.
Oh, at the end he was playing basketball.
And you think he's gonna get to play at halftime?
Yeah, I think he's going to play halftime.
Because right now, what is he doing on this page?
Watching.
Cheering and watching. All right, well.
Sometimes at the end they go play basketball on a thing. And like in middle school, they play basketball.
Sometimes they do. All right, I want you to look back on page, before we go, there's one word, and we've seen this word before, and sometimes it's on page 3. So turn back to page 3 and find the word grinned. Find the word grinned.
Right.
Grinned.
Right here.
Okay. Keep going.
Right there.
Grinned. All right, it says, I'm going to read this sentence, and then I want you to see if we can figure out what the word grinned means. Mom and Nicola grinned at each other. What is a grin?
They look at each other and smile.
It's like a smile. Why didn't they just say smile?
Because they wanted to use
It's another word for grin.
Okay, it's another word for smile. And so that's like a synonym. When we've talked about antonyms, well, grinned and smile is like a synonym. But grin is like a little smile. It's a little smile. And in here, Tyler said that he thought they grinned because they had tricked him. Because they had got him to that thing, to the basketball game. All right? So I want you to put this in your cubby for tonight, and I want y'all to read it tonight, and then I want y'all to tell me how it ended tomorrow, okay?
When you pull your groups, how do you decide what to do with the students? With the first group, you had picked out some vocabulary words and things like that. How do you decide what they need?
Well, first I preview the book before I read it with the students, and then I see if there's some new unfamiliar vocabulary in there, and we go over that before we begin. And then I base that on what I've seen them do throughout the week, like if they're struggling with adding endings or if they're struggling with, you know, some topic we're covering off of CSI, then I try to pull that and refocus on that during guided reading. But I always try to go over new vocabulary with the students by previewing the book.
It seemed like with your second group, though, that you were doing more basic things with them.
Right. With the second group, we were working on like some compound words. That was one of the things we had covered previously in CSI. So we worked on compound words, and then I was sticking with some more of the basic word structures and things like that in there with them, and then covering unfamiliar vocabulary with them as well.
In your guided reading groups, I noticed that you were doing just a little bit of word work after they read. Do you always do that?
Most all the time I try to, do a little quick 2 to 3 minute word work with them, just on some type lesson that we've already covered, just to help, reinforce that in the whole group setting.
When you're pulling your students for guided reading, what are the other children in your class doing? Are they doing the same things? Are they just doing different? What kinds of things are they doing?
Well, it varies from day to day. If I'm pulling in the morning time, I have a set time for guided reading in the morning, and the students sometimes are working on various things, different things, readers theater, spelling activities, writing, sticker stories, and things like that. And then the afternoon, sometimes they're doing some independent reading. So they're sometimes doing different things and sometimes all doing the same thing.
Is that the same throughout the year? Whatever like what you have them do at the beginning of the year, are those the same kinds of things that they're doing now at the end of the year?
The activities may change, but the structure stays the same, whereas in the morning they do different things, and in the afternoon they're doing their self-selected type reading, and so I'm working with that. But the activities change as the year goes on. But we have set things, like on Tuesday we work on a spelling type thing, and then on Wednesday we may be working on a writing type thing, and so it just is a little bit different.
I noticed that when some of the students finished something that they were doing, that they were coming and getting what looked like previous lessons from CSI. What is that?
Right, we were doing a concept wheel that we had done previously in CSI, and I do try to, when they have read a book independently, I do try to bring back one of the previously taught activities and try to reinforce that for them. And so that was something they could do completely on their own by that time, and so they did not need my help, and so they were able to do that. And we do that with different graphic organizers too, with fiction reading.
Some of the students looked like they were doing buddy study for spelling. Is that where you get your spelling time in during this time?
That was just a reinforcement as well with the spelling. That wasn't actually where I was going to do my time of spelling, but that was something they could do independently to practice their spelling. They didn't really need my support on that. It had been previously taught and modeled to them, so they knew exactly what to do on that. But that is something that they do, sort of like would be a center. That's something that they do on that given day for that.
My last question for you is, what would you say is the most beneficial thing for guided reading? Well, and then follow that up with guided reading in second grade in particular. How does that change from the beginning of the year with your high readers towards the end of the year?
Well, the most beneficial thing I think about guided reading is that it is a small group setting where you are actually hearing each child read, and you're being able to hear them read and check their fluency and check their comprehension. I mean, some people think it's a scary thing to pull and do guided reading, but if you just listen to the kids read and do those kind of things, it's very beneficial, and you will be amazed at how quickly their reading improves. The way guided reading changes from the beginning of the year, because second grade they do take a big jump, it seems like, right after Christmas towards higher levels and things like that, and that's when they begin to go into literature circles and reading some chapter books and things like that. And it's very beneficial then, because then they learn to communicate with their peers about the book, and there's no longer the teacher asking all the questions. They are learning to communicate with each other on those books. And then all of them eventually get there, but some of them get there faster than the others. But if you've done guided reading, then literature circles are very beneficial, because they are used to the question-answer format during that time. And thank you for watching this video, and I hope that it is very helpful to you and your students in your classroom.